where something bad didn't happen. Some B-roll. Does this light make my arms look big? We are not sponsored by Sonic. We're not sponsored by Sonic, but if any supplement companies want to give us a ring, I mean, fueled by venison, baby. I hope you know I'm putting that in the beginning. That's yes, it is. It's the 18th.
Let's start that over.
It's the 18th.
All right, August 18th. We are less than a month out from heading out to Colorado. So last night was basically the last final touches on getting the bow ready.
Yep.
Headed on down to the local pro shop, Patriot Archery, had Troy hook us up. Shot, what I have, 11 arrows. Yeah, 11 arrows because I Robin Hooded one. That's not a bad problem to have.
You did?
I did.
Was that after I left?
No, this was a couple weeks ago.
Oh.
So 11 arrows, 11 broadheads, 11 nocturnals, and every single one shooting perfect bullet holes through paper. And I can't complain about that. I can honestly say these arrows are right where they need to be. The Thorn broadheads that we're shooting this year, I can't complain. Honestly, I've never had the ability to just shoot broadheads through paper and be perfect bullet holes. It's a thing of beauty. So big thanks to them for hooking us up this season on that, and we're looking forward to it. But so Colorado, and we're 3 weeks out, pretty much.
Yeah.
I think we're going to leave like the 14th. Is that right?
We may leave sooner.
Might leave sooner if they're bugling. We'll just play it by ear.
Depends on what the report back from the mountain sounds like.
Play it by ear. So basically, we're going to just kind of run through what we did last night on the setup. I took all of my arrows, and well, first off, I made sure the bow was obviously in time.
Timed, holding weight, all of that stuff.
Holding weight, draw weight, everything was exactly where it was when I set it up the first time. And when I say in time, I'm talking about the cams are hitting the stops at the same exact time, because if you get one cam hitting before the other, then you're going to get an arrow that's flying like crap. So that's a lot of things. There's a lot that you don't think about when you draw that bow back for the first time of the season. So that's why having a good pro shop to go to is very important.
For sure.
So the bow's in time. It's coming in just over 78 pounds. I had it at about 80 originally, but it's sitting at 78. That's where the bow likes to be. Mathews VXR 31.5. It's about 30-inch draw, and I like it. Setup's rocking right now, so we're hitting about 284 feet per second with a 542 grain arrow.
That's pretty bad.
So
that's a lot.
That should be
a lot
plenty.
Of power.
That should be plenty for elk, and definitely plenty for whitetail.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we started off with that, made sure everything was in time, and then we set up the paper there at the range inside and shot every single arrow until it shot a perfect bullet hole. And once your rest, obviously once your rest is where it needs to be, and the top hats and everything's good and ready to go, each individual arrow, it's important to turn the nock just a quarter turn until you get that one arrow to fly perfect, and then you move to the next. If it's got a little bit of a tear, but the bow is shooting the way it should, turn that nock again. Quarter turn every time, and most of them didn't take that long. I did have a couple finicky arrows, but
couple didn't like you.
But they were new nocks out of the package, so that obviously you're going to have that. But no, we got those all lined up. Just need to go out to the range and make sure everything is still where it needs to be at distance. But shot the 20 a couple times last night, and it was spot on.
Yeah.
Looks like once I got that sight tape on with Archer's Advantage too, it looks like I should be able to clear 100 with that. Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be able to, but looks like I'll be able to clear 100 without my veins hitting the sight.
That's good.
Yeah. So if there's an elk out there at 100 yards, I'll be 1, ready, and 2, able.
My bow shoots 200 yards.
Oh, we could only wish.
Yeah.
But yeah, we so basically those are the last final touches that, there's a million different things that you can do as far as walk back tuning, but I've had most of that already taken care of. So just reps right now is the big thing.
Just getting ready
and making sure our gear list, which we're a little bit behind on.
Speak for yourself. I got a lot of gear.
We got a lot of gear. We just need to organize it and we're going to have some pretty cool stuff. We're going to capture content for some really cool brands out there. Very fortunate in that aspect. And as far as, we talked a little bit about the bow side, and we can go into detail more on that as people ask more questions about what they want to hear about and whatnot. But, outside of just getting the bow tuned up, I think it's really important, especially for us as flatlanders, as they would call the Midwestern people, if you're talking about out west. But getting in shape for the mountains.
I'm going to die. It's going to suck.
Yeah, I think the other day I said it was going to be about 9,500 feet elevation, what I looked at. Somewhere it's in there. It's a lot higher.
Like where we start.
Yeah, where we start.
Where we start. That's not where we're going to be. That's where we
right.
start.
So that's a little different than Southwest Missouri.
Yeah.
A lot different. So what I've been doing, and I probably should have started a little sooner, but I've been doing cardio every day, 30 minutes every day for, oh my goodness, months, 6-7 months every day. But more recently, I started running 5 miles every evening, trying to get ready. I read an article that said if you can run 5 miles consistently without stopping and not die, you should be. That's a good starting point for being in the mountains.
Starting?
A good starting point. Now, obviously, I'm not Cameron Haynes. I can't run a marathon every day. I mean, I probably could. It would take me a little bit to
There's a reason
recover.
we invested in a big lens, so I can still be far behind you and get those.
That's right.
Get that stuff shot.
I can be optimistic, and Noel can get a photo of me from however far away. But no,
Converter and big lenses.
Been running, and we were actually just talking about throwing the. It's time to get the packs ready.
Yeah,
and by ready, I mean get used to that weight.
Well, not even that. Just get them set up to where you don't have the majority of the weight on your hips, not the majority of it on your shoulders. You got it evenly distributed across your back,
Right.
to where you're not going to be pinched or in pain while you're hiking around. Because these new packs, there's no reason you should be
Right.
like suffering while you're
No,
carrying
for
those
sure.
around. You could make your life so much easier just by the way you set up your pack. Take a lot of the load off of yourself and replace it across your whole body. So that's going to be the big thing. But you got to do that with weight. Can't just grab an empty pack, set it up, say it's good.
Right.
And that's why we've got under the table, actually, we got some 45-pound plates that we're going to throw in them.
Which now, I mean,
Go.
after COVID, those things might as well be gold.
Yeah, those are gold
But
blocks.
talking about packs, what are you running? I know we're running 2 different packs, but let's talk about the packs.
I've got a Stone Glacier Sky 5900 that I'm going to be running, shooting a lot of stuff with. It's going to be pretty cool. It's a sweet pack. I like it a lot. I like the layout of it. I just got a few other things for it today, some organization pouches and stuff like that I'm going to need for little odd and end stuff. But I like it. It's a pretty cool bag. Got
It's
a
good
cool
stuff.
layout. Yeah.
It's good stuff. I'm going to be running the EXO K3 6400 series, and it's solid too.
It's a sweet pack.
So hopefully after this podcast, actually, we're going to go slap those plates on like we talked about, and we're going to put them to the test, start
See.
getting used to it, because it's one thing to run 5 miles or 3 miles or jog or even walk, but
Yeah.
it's a whole lot different when elevation comes into play and there's also 50 to 60 pounds on
You
your
got to
back.
keep in mind, that's our starting weight.
Right,
Like,
and then
that's not what we're going to be ending
Right.
at if we're successful on the hunt.
hoping to pack out
Yeah.
heavy. And we'll probably be packing in heavy too.
Hey, the pack out's not in my contract.
And Noel, you're going to leave me hanging, aren't you? You're actually packing in heavy anyway with all the camera gear.
Yeah, my bag is probably going to be quite a bit heavier than yours.
Yeah.
I'm
What
gonna
do you
have
think you're going to be taking with you, camera-wise?
I'll take 3 camera bodies: A7S, 3, A7R3, and A7R2.
Whatever that means.
Yeah, and then a bunch of lenses and a bunch of batteries. Enough batteries that I could power our vehicle there and back.
That's
with.
good.
Yeah.
Got to be getting on Snapchat, at night, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
If we have service. So
I'm turning my phone off. It's going in my pack.
Might
It's not
throw it.
getting. It's not getting used the entire time we're there. So if you guys need me, don't.
Yeah, I'm busy. Are you going to be editing while you're out there, or are you going to try, or how are you going to do that?
Video, no. That's gonna all be done.
Way too much.
Photo, I might edit a few. I might do some like vertical shots, do some like story updates. I might even shoot some vertical video and just do some like story updates, just get some of that high quality stuff in there on the story. But as far as like the majority of the pictures for like the product shots and stuff that we're gonna be doing, not gonna try and do that on a cell phone or
Yeah,
laptop.
That's a lot.
I'll make sure I can do it on a big screen to where I can make sure all the color grading and everything's like that is correct.
All the fancy stuff that I don't know anything about.
I don't know if I do either.
There's
We'll
a lot
see.
that goes into that cool picture you post, though.
Yeah, there is.
It's not
There's
just
a lot.
pull it off the camera and throw it on the screen.
Yeah, there's a lot that you got to do to make them look cool.
Stuff like on the TV here. I don't know if they can see that or not,
I
but
think they can.
it's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of same thing goes with the bow setup.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and I kind of mentioned threw around the topic a little bit on that intro podcast we did, and that
Yeah.
wasn't that was more of a describing what we were going to do, but I started talking a little bit about certain aspects of archery that people were like, I didn't think about that,
Yeah.
and that's the big one for me is don't screw your broadheads in after shooting your field
Yeah.
points and then just go hunt.
Yeah.
And I was guilty of that at one point. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say how recent, but you know what? You start somewhere and you.
Yeah. You learn something every day.
Yep.
I mean, it's something there's guys in the archery world who have forgotten more than I'll ever know.
That's true.
And there's a
That's
lot
true.
to learn. There's a lot to learn.
But I can say that I've became a much better hunter after learning just that, because,
Yeah.
with like Thorn, and they're not the only one that does it, but that's what I like about their broadheads is that once I put that practice clip and that little shear pin in there, I can hunt and practice with the same broadhead,
Yep.
which you can't get any more consistent than literally the
What
only
you're gonna
thing
be
you're
using. Yeah.
right. And the only thing you're changing there is taking off that little bitty practice clip, and it's ready to hunt.
Yep.
So this year, whenever that first hunt of the year comes out, I'm not changing anything on my arrows whatsoever. Same arrows I'm practiced with last night, the same arrows I'm pulling out of the quiver.
Yep.
Not screwing or unscrewing anything.
It's gonna be it's gonna be a good payoff for
Yeah.
doing all that tuning.
Yeah, and I even noticed last year, just paying attention to that little stuff, it was so much,
It changes everything. I mean,
everything.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times, when I first started bow hunting, and everybody's guilty of doing it in some, degree, is you shoot your field points, because obviously it's expensive to shoot broadheads.
It's
and,
not cheap.
if you have a bag target, you're not going to shoot, even if you have
Yeah.
a fixed blade, with that, they have the little practice broadheads on the
Yeah.
old Muzzy or something. You're not going to shoot that into a bag target, or you're
No.
kind of dumb.
Yeah.
But even on a block, you don't want to sit there and shoot your broadheads all year, because
No.
the blades get dull and you miss and you tear
Tear
them
the
up.
target.
You're just
Tear the
losing
target
money.
up. Yeah.
But now it's a game changer to
Yeah.
just. I don't even shoot field points anymore.
There's no
I
reason
have them, but I don't shoot them.
Yeah.
And the only time I would shoot one is because with Thorn with that rip tip, you don't want to shoot that into a bag target. You want to shoot only foam.
Yeah.
So in the case where I had to shoot at a bag, if I'm at camp or something, that's all we had.
I'm gonna bring a bag target to Colorado.
No,
just
it's not.
to throw you off.
let's bring some kind of foam target. But that has helped a lot. And another thing too that I learned, and I feel like a lot of hunters have still, and if you're new or maybe just don't know this yet, you don't think about like a nocturnal. Let's take a nocturnal and let's take a standard X knock, right, from the factory at Easton, right?
Yep.
The difference in weight is a lot.
A lot.
And you don't think that
Wow.
because in your hand you're like, it's a knock and a knock. This one might be a little longer, which also matters.
Yeah.
In this one, they're all
Well,
right.
it's like
That changes everything.
people look at like those kind of knocks and they don't understand. Like, they're like, well, it's just a knock. How could it change? Well, it's just the same as switching from 100 grain
To
field
125.
to 125,
Yeah.
and you go shoot 20 yards and you're 6 inches low.
Yep.
So
Every
it's
little
gonna
thing matters.
make a big difference.
Or how many times in the past, and like I said, I've been guilty of all of these things. You got blazer veins on one arrow, and you might have boning X veins on the other, and you shoot them out of the same. They do not weigh the same. They don't fly the same, and they might not even be fletched the same.
Yeah.
So there's little bitty aspects like it'll be fine, which goes into my next thing that absolutely bugs me is the good enough is not, and it drives me
Yeah.
insane. Like, if you can hit a pie plate at 20 yards, well, you better be able to hit the quarter in the middle of that pie plate, because that drives me insane. Like, I can hit a pie plate at 20, I'm good. Well, that animal might not think that when it's, laying
Yeah.
there for 2 days.
You've gotten to see the flip side of all that with your tracking service.
Yeah,
that you
helping
do,
Dad
so.
track, and I've made bad shots. Everybody
Yeah.
does. You could be a perfect
I've
shot,
made
and you're
bad
still going to
shots.
mess
Yeah.
up. But you got to, eliminate every aspect you can to make sure,
Yep.
like, hey, I got it. I might mess up, but I want to make that chance of me messing up as small as possible because deer are hard enough to kill, period.
Yeah.
And I don't
They
want
are
to give
an
them
animal
any more
that does
chances.
not want to die.
Right. I don't want to give them any more chances. And at the same time, I respect them and don't want to, there's nothing worse than letting a shot go and knowing the second it's gone,
Yeah.
I messed up.
I mean, I've just in the last couple of years, I've got several buddies who've messed up, whether it be an elk, it be a deer. There's been several instances where I've had several friends have some pretty bad shots that resulted in not finding the animal, and it's just that's one of those things that eat at you.
It makes you
eats at
sick.
Yeah.
And then especially if you don't know whether it died
Yeah.
or not.
Yeah.
And then you just go years of like, oh, I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah. And you guys start to think too, like, oh, I'm good enough at 20 yards. I can hit a pie plate when you're perfectly calm and every factor is perfect. But you got to think whenever you're in a tree stand, you're shooting at odd angles, you're nervous. If you've got a 180-inch deer coming in while you're up there and you're shaking like a leaf and you can't shoot a group like that at 20 yards when you're calm, you're shooting a group like that at 20 yards when you're calm. Then when you're nervous, you got to think it's going to double
Right.
that range of where you're going to be shooting.
Well, you brought up a good point too that I wasn't even thinking about. But when I talked about going into the pro shop and checking things, when you talk about shooting out of a tree stand, that's something too. And I know
Your
not everybody
axis.
has the ability to shoot and practice out of an elevated, but that changes a lot. If your axis on your site, and there's three, a lot of them have three, some of them have two, but first axis, second axis, third axis, they all have their own their job that
Yeah.
they help you with, and that can change a lot. And
Yep.
Being in the Midwest, you probably don't have a lot of shots that it's like, oh wow, probably
Yeah.
would have made that shot if I. But shooting off the side of a mountain, or even like how we were in Nebraska, some of those hills you're shooting down those,
You're looking at like a stupid steep.
you could see a
slope.
6-inch difference in point of impact,
Yeah.
left, right, up, down, depending on what axis is off. But and you can't get them perfect. You can get them pretty close. The best way to do it though is shooting and practicing, figuring out. You can there's cut charts and whatnot that you can figure out. The rangefinder thing, that's another thing. I've always thought, when you get a rangefinder that says bow mode and it says, 24 degrees, it's 26 yards, shoot for 21 or whatever. I thought that was just always accurate. But until Leupold came out with, the full draw 4 this past year, I didn't realize that unless the ballistics of your arrow are in that,
It's not.
there's no way that it knows that's what you're supposed to shoot it for.
Yeah.
Because a 40-pound bow and an 80-pound bow are not going to have the same cuts.
I think they take like an average of 70 pounds.
Well, on the full draw they use Archer's
not
Advantage.
not the full draw.
Oh, on the
I'm,
other ones?
I'm talking about the
Yeah,
other
I'm not
ones.
sure.
Yeah.
But no, that's something that I feel like a lot of bow hunters might not even realize. Like when you get up there and you have that "what the heck just happened" moment, that's one of the things that it could be. And me personally, whenever the biggest deer that I had ever hunted, the one I had the most history with, I started off on a bad foot. For one, I'd never had adjusted the axis on that side. I didn't even know that was a thing. And that was also another year I was shooting a Rage Extreme, which was the biggest and might still be the biggest cutting broadhead they had ever made.
Yeah.
I practiced with field points and screwed the broadheads on and
Those do not fly the same.
whatever, but that broadhead is a fully exposed, well, not fully exposed, but there's a lot of blades sticking out.
Yeah.
And it's got that big spearhead on the front
Yeah.
of it. So there's obviously a lot of drag created. So for one, started off on a bad foot there, didn't pay any attention to axis because I didn't know that was a thing. And that morning I forgot my release and had another one in the bag, put it on. Well, anchor point's
another
going to
thing.
change
Anchor point
because
changes.
it's a whole different length
Yep.
of release. That deer comes in, I misjudge him. So another bad foot started off on and misjudged him. He was at an extreme angle down, and that release, point of impact was different. Shot him across the spine, shot him back, no, forward actually. It would have been, towards the front shoulder. And, after that, I'm just at a loss. Like, what did I do? Well,
Everything.
knew I misjudged it. Yeah, literally everything.
Everything.
Knew I misjudged. The only thing I did right was show up that morning in that stand at the right time. And call at the right time. But went back to the house and shot and I was like 6 inches left with that release.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh, this is not good. Well, I already knew it wasn't good because I'd wounded the deer, but he ended up living. But that's just one of those ones I wish I could have back because, hindsight now, somebody ended up poaching that deer off the road this past fall.
Yep.
That could have been a deer I killed 4 years ago, but I was irresponsible as a hunter. So
It happens.
ever since then, I've been a lot more up to par on what's going on with my setup. And it might cause more frustration than anything because I'm so precise on how I want
You're
things.
very particular.
It just drives me insane. Like the other day we go to the range, I'm like, dude, something's not right. I'm not shooting good. And then what do you get, a 3-inch group at 50 and 60 yards, and it's like the guy next to us at the range is lucky to hit the whole bale,
Yeah.
But that's the difference.
Yeah.
So hopefully it pays off.
I think it will. We'll probably do like a full bow setup podcast
Yeah,
when
we'll
my
do
bow
that.
comes in. We could go from top to bottom.
Go into the
So,
shop and just do a full setup.
Exactly. Well, cool.
And whatever people, have any questions about that we can talk more about with bows, I love that stuff. So
Yeah.
more to talk about. But then, so first hunt will be September, elk, Colorado, over the counter.
Yep.
Still trying to debate on if I want to buy a bear tag or not. It's like $100 add-on.
Might as well buy an antelope tag.
Or that too. I don't know about in that unit if that's,
I don't know. I haven't looked into that unit, but
I don't know. I know there's a lot of elk there and a lot of bear.
and a lot of antelope. I kind of want to shoot an antelope.
I
I got a
know.
vendetta against antelope.
Yeah,
That's a whole nother podcast
Tough.
talking about my vendetta against archery antelope hunting.
tough cookie. So what will we be there, a week or so? Well, it might be longer. It depends on what the elk are doing.
We're
Could
not
be
coming
there.
back till we kill an elk or the season closes.
Could be there a day. Might be there all season. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
But when we come back to Missouri, as far as deer go, I haven't even put a camera out yet, and I kind of like it because it
Done
just
all the work for you.
yeah. Noel, you're doing it, but even then, I don't. I'm not bugging you about pictures because I kind of just like to not know.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we've kind of got into this groove of like you look at the trail cameras so much that you get so picky
Yeah.
that you don't even hunt.
I got to look at it a couple times and know that it's going to be a pretty good
Pretty
good
That's all I need to
fall.
know.
So we don't really
Worst
need to
case
get
scenario,
picky after that
we got
point.
plenty of places to hunt, and then there's public land galore back home.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's another topic too that I feel like a lot of people can relate to. Is I had a conversation with a guy last year, and my grandpa even said it too. You don't hunt near like you used to,
Yeah.
or even before our time they did, because now that it's like we have cell phone
Yeah.
cameras that are hooked up to our cell towers. You're like, that deer hasn't showed up in a week. I'm not even going to go out.
Yeah.
Well, before there was cameras, those guys were just going out and hunting, and they
just
sat
went
there,
out
and if
there
they saw a
anyways, yeah.
deer, they were happy.
Yeah.
And I can even remember when I was little bitty, Dad would take me out, sit me on the 5-gallon bucket in the homemade wooden tree stand. If we saw a deer, I was pumped up.
Yeah.
Now guys are like,
I'm still like
well, I
that.
saw 15 deer on camera last night. That's no big deal. I'm not going until that deer pops up.
Yeah.
Well, you don't really, I feel like, appreciate it as much. And that's what I kind of like about, you see, these guys like the hunting public, they're going out and they don't know. They're just
Yeah.
going out scouting and doing the thing, and they're pumped up about whatever they end up killing.
Yeah.
And that's what I like to go towards. I'm probably never going to kill a 200-inch deer in my life. I would love to, but you'll never hear me complain about a little Pope and Young. It's just, I don't know, that's how I'm geared.
Yep.
There's a lot of people on TV now that get your hopes up about 200-inch deer every year, and they've done great for growing deer, but they're kind of hurting the whole appreciating
Yeah.
the work that goes into just. Last year, I shot several does and was just as pumped up as I would have ever been with a buck,
Yeah.
because it's like, put the time in, set the bow up, made a perfect shot on almost all of them. I did have one, a little goof. It
Yeah.
happens. It does. But I can tell you that, the guy that is sitting here right now versus the guy that was bow hunting 5 years ago, I'll kill 10 times as many deer as that guy would, because I have, I'm just way more on it. I pay a lot
good.
more attention to that stuff, and it pays off. Made me appreciate archery a lot more.
For sure. Well,
So
I think that's a wrap.
I think so. If anybody has any questions, we can. Any topic that we can talk about hunting, we're for it.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure.
So if anybody's got any questions, first of all, like the video,
Yeah, subscribe.
subscribe, comment, let us know, shoot us a DM on Instagram. We've got a lot of DMs. People
lot.
giving.
People giving feedback and
Yeah.
stuff, so that's awesome.
So we'll try to
Start
put a
hitting
little
all those
different
topics.
twist,
Yep.
different twist on the hunting podcast side of things. And anybody that has anything they really want us to talk about, we're for it.
Yeah,
I love to talk
can be
about
anything.
hunting. Anything that we can do to help somebody. And
For
I
sure.
feel like even in that little blurb right there, there's some things people might not have even known about with
sure.
with shooting a bow. So hopefully that sparked some interest. And if one person gets helped out by it, I'm for it.
Cool.
All right.